Waking up to uncertainty this morning as the government shut down for the first time since 2018.
So Congress failed to reach a deal, meaning many federal agencies will be closed and federal employees will go without pay. The Congressional Budget Office says about 750,000 workers will be furloughed each day. Essential workers like TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and military members will be forced to work without pay.
Now to look at what is not impacted. VA benefits, Medicare, Social Security benefits, and student loans won't be impacted. Another thing that isn't expected to be impacted by the shutdown is the post office, and that's where we find David Greenberg this morning with a look at what happens next. David, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. Here at the post office, it's expected to be business as usual in Washington. Congress, they'll be getting back to business.
The 60-vote threshold having not been received.
The shutdown started at midnight, just hours after two last-ditch Senate votes to keep the government open failed on Tuesday night. Neither bill getting the necessary 60 votes needed to pass in the Republican-controlled chamber. Federal employees were told to expect an orderly shutdown. On Capitol Hill, the finger-pointing started before the voting did.
Senate Democrats have sacrificed the American people to Democrats' partisan interests.
So we see now Republicans are plunging America into a shutdown, rejecting bipartisan talks, pushing a partisan bill, and risking America's health care, worst of all.
Democrats hoping to secure more money for Affordable Care Act subsidies before costs for consumers skyrocket. Republicans say there is time to negotiate that later. President Trump staying positive.
So the last thing we want to do is shut it down, but a lot of good can come down from shutdowns.
The president warning some of the government employees furloughed during the shutdown might not come back when it's over.
When you shut it down, you have to do layoffs, so we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected.
Senate leadership says that chamber will be in session over the weekend, but right now the House is not slated to be back until October 7th, meaning a shutdown could last at least a week if the House isn't called back sooner.
Now, the Senate will be back in session later today with a couple of more votes on efforts to try and end that shutdown.
Hey, David, we broke down a lot of the agencies impacted, but what about national parks?
Yeah, national parks like the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, they'll be partially open. Now, the national parks, they don't always close down when the government shuts down. But with a lack of federal employees, safety and maintenance at the parks, they could be impacted. The current contingency plan has roughly 64% of National Park Service workforce set to be furloughed. 40 former park superintendents wrote and signed a letter to Secretary of Interior Doug Burgum suggesting that the parks be shut down indefinitely until this shutdown comes to an end, saying the last time there was a government shutdown, it had a detrimental impact on the parks that caused harm to them, saying that visitor safety was also impacted. Dave?
All right, David Greenberg breaking it down for us this morning. David, thank you.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Shalom. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahahakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, pushing this doctrine of truth to the elect of the nation of Israel who were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, pursuant to the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28. I wanted to do a quick response to this shutdown that has been all over the news, because this is a perfect example of the wicked being in authority. All right. So this precept here applies. Let's read it again. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Okay? So the wicked are in authority. All right? They beareth rule, and people are going to be mourning. All right? Now, this is something that is overblown, completely blown out of proportion, because as leaders of a country, of a nation, they should be able to come up with some type of sensible resolution to make both sides happy. Okay, but again, you got these wicked, prideful people in control, and they're not going to do that. They're going to sacrifice the people who put them in office, who voted them into power. Okay, now we know that this is all political theater at the end of the day. Okay, and for prophecy's sake, you know, this has to be done. But it just goes to show you that when you got wicked people in charge of things, in charge of a nation, these are the type of things that are going to happen. You're going to sacrifice the people under you. All right, and that's what's happening, because there's going to be some huge consequences to them not being able to come up with a resolution. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of layoffs and work furloughs. Okay, you heard him. He said that a lot of these people will not be able to get their jobs back. Okay, so they're going to be sacrificed because of the pride and arrogance of these government officials. All right, so you're going to see a lot of mourning here in Babylon the Great, because people rely on those jobs, and jobs are hard to come by as is, especially given the state of the economy right now. Okay, where you've had 300 federal layoffs during the spring. I mean, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. So if these people can't work and they can't find jobs, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to lose their homes. They're going to lose their cars, because a lot of these people, you know, a lot of us live beyond our means. Okay, paying for houses that we can't afford, paying for cars that we can't afford, and unfortunately, they're going to lose they're going to lose a lot. A lot of these folks are going to be homeless. They don't have family members to lean on during this time of crisis. Okay, homeless shelters are going to fill up. You're going to see people out there on the streets. You're going to see people out there living in their cars. Crime is going to skyrocket. All right, I mean, this is all in line with prophecy, but this is all the consequence of wicked rule. Okay, you got these incompetent, evil, wicked people in charge of a nation, and they can't do what's necessary to ensure that the people of this nation have jobs, can support themselves, right? Because, you know, the ironic thing is that the people in charge, they still will get a salary. Okay, well, they can't come up with a resolution to make both sides happy, but they'll still get their paycheck. There won't be any work furloughs for the House of Representatives or the Senate or even the president. Okay, now what should a righteous ruler do in a situation like this? As the president of the United States, of Babylon the Great here, he should make it a point to talk to both sides and say, hey, look, this is unacceptable. You know, you stay your ass in there and you vote on something that will appeal to both sides and make both sides happy so we can avoid a government shutdown. But they don't do that. I mean, they couldn't care less. This is why they said that the House of Representatives are on recess until October the 7th. Now, you mean to tell me, with just given the gravity of the situation, these devils have the audacity to go on recess for a week? All right, they're going to come back and say, okay, well, let's see what we can come up with. That's unacceptable. That's just plain wicked, you know? But, you know, the sad thing is that the American people, these dum-dums here in Babylon the Great, will still put their trust in the system that is not worthy of your trust. It's not worthy of your confidence or your faith, okay? Because it's a part of a system. It's a wicked system. It's the beast system, okay? But we're going to see our people continue to trust in these politicians that do not have their best interests at heart, right? Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 30. Let's start at verse 12. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, who is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. Okay? See, our people despise the word of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Okay? Especially a lot of the women, because they don't want to fall into the order of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Now, don't get me wrong. You got a lot of Israelite men that are just as rebellious, okay? But I find being in the truth, a lot of the women, they claim to be in the truth, but still don't want to fall in order, okay? And this is why a lot of our people, they reject the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because it means you have to submit yourself to the order of the Lord. Okay? But not knowing that when you do that, it makes your life a lot easier. Now, we're all going to lose some discomfort, some comforts. Okay? We're all going to be faced with discomfort at some point in time. Okay? But because we have our faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, it's going to be a lot, we're going to have a peace of mind. Okay, like the scripture says that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. Okay, as things continue to deteriorate and we move or enter into Jacob's trouble, all right, we are going to be at ease. Okay, in fact, the elect are hoping that things get worse. We're hoping that things take a turn for the worse because we want to see this evil, wicked kingdom fall. Okay. Because the kingdom of heaven can't be established until this kingdom falls. All right. So we're like, hurry up already. We want everything to collapse. Let all hell break loose so we can get the hell out of here. All right. Because we've reached that point. Okay. To where we just want righteousness installed on this earth. All right. That's the most important thing right now under Yahushai. Let's read that again. In fact, let's go to the NLT version because it sort of simplifies things a little more. This is the reply of the Holy One of Israel, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, because you despise what I tell you and trust instead in oppression and lies. Okay, you get nothing but oppression and lies when you rely on this beast system, okay, because it's of Satan. Calamity will come upon you suddenly. All right, and that calamity is going to come in the form of joblessness, homelessness. Okay, you're not going to be able to provide food, shelter, and clothing for your loved ones. All right, that's going to be devastating to people who have families. All right, and especially, in fact, because of the fact that Salakia, getting tongue-tied, because of the fact that winter's coming. All right, it's going to be cold outside. If you're going to be homeless and, during the winter, it's going to make it really hard to survive. Okay. You're going to have to rely on a homeless shelter or family members. Some people, like I said, are going to be living in their cars. I mean, it's not going to end well for, you Israelites that trust in oppression. Okay. And if this isn't a wake-up call, I don't know what is. All right. You got to remove yourself from this system and follow the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Calamity will come upon you suddenly like a bulging wall that bursts and falls. In an instant, it will collapse and come crashing down. You will be smashed like a piece of pottery, shattered so completely that there won't be a piece big enough to carry coals from a fireplace or a little water from the well. Okay, so the Lord has destruction in your future for trusting in oppression. Okay, let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Okay, so we don't see any wisdom. We don't see any wise judges, especially with Trump, the so-called commander-in-chief. There's no wisdom coming from that man. There's no righteousness. There's no compassion. Okay? All the policies that he's making or implementing do not favor the people. Okay? The people that voted him into power. Okay? There's a lot of regret coming from those MAGA Republicans that voted him into office. Right? A lot of these people are regretting having voted him into office. But see, the thing is that it didn't matter who, or it wouldn't matter who's in office, because if Kamala Harris would have been voted into office, the same things that you're seeing now would have most likely taken place with the Democrats. Okay? I mean, this is all a game. Okay? This is, there's two different birds, or Salakia. How's the saying go? You got two different wings on the same bird going to the same destination, okay? And this destination is to destruction, because this country is going to fall. This kingdom is going to fall. All right? So it doesn't matter who's in charge, whether Republicans or Democrats. All right? We know what the outcome is going to be as it relates to this kingdom, this wicked kingdom. It's going to fall, right? A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Okay? As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Okay? As the judge of the people is himself. Okay, so people, they don't know what righteousness is. Okay, and you can sort of get a feel of that when you listen to the Republicans talk, especially them. All right, but Democrats too, because they still push the same talking points as the people that they voted into office. Okay, you listen to a lot of those Republicans and they sound just like Trump. All right, they have blind obedience to wickedness. All right, they see the wickedness taking place, but they sort of dismiss it, or they overlook it, because loyalty is more important than calling out these wicked politicians. They'd rather just remain loyal to the cause, instead of calling them out. And you do see some people defecting from that political party, but the vast majority of them are staunch supporters of them, and they're going to go down with the ship. Okay, and then they're going to come to the understanding that, oh man, we've been had. Once it's too late, once the ship is sinking, once it's gone down and starts taking on water, that's when they're going to open their eyes. But it's going to be too late by then. Okay. Verse 3, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority the city shall be inhabited. Okay? So an unwise king is going to destroy his people. And we're seeing that take place or play out right now. Okay? We are seeing that unfold in real time. All right, let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 24. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people. Okay, well, again, Donald Trump is not a wise king. Okay, he's not ruling with righteousness. He's not ruling with wisdom. All right, scriptures tell you how to rule. All right, and they're not doing that because they hate the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. All right? They'd rather do it their way and destroy everything that they touch. Now, it was successful for a season, but now we're starting to see everything start to unravel, because all the wickedness, all the deception, all the bloodshed comes at a price, and it's not sustainable. At some point, the chickens have to come home to roost. Okay, now I find it very ironic how they're talking about this government shutdown. They're talking about not being able to fund this, fund Medicare, fund medical, and other aspects of the economy and such. But they always seem to find a way to come up with billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to fund the small hats over there, right? You notice that that's never been a problem, okay? They never said that we're having a problem sending them money because we're short this year, all right? Now, you got the economy literally collapsing right now, okay? The job market stinks. I mean, everything that can go wrong with the system is going wrong, but yet they still find time or find the money to send over there to the small hats, okay? If that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what will, okay? They're also sending money over there to the Ukrainians, billions of dollars for that war against Russia, all right? So their priorities are all messed up, and it just goes to show you that these people don't give a damn about you. Okay, so why be a part of a system where they're literally psychopaths? They don't care what happens to you. They don't care if you could pay your bills, if you could pay your mortgage, if you got a job, okay, that pays a decent livable wage. They don't care. They couldn't care less. All right, most of those government officials are millionaires, right? But yet they're still getting $200,000 a year plus. As far as the salary goes, okay? So, I mean, once you reach millionaire status, you should have to forfeit your salary, okay? But they don't work like that, all right? They're privy to insider trading, so a lot of them invest their money because they know what to invest in. They know what's going to explode and make them millions of dollars, right? And that's why a lot of them are where they are. Getting paid off by lobbyists and such. I mean, it's just nothing but corruption. Nothing but corruption in this wicked kingdom. And you should be praying for the downfall of this kingdom every chance you get. And speaking of downfall, let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse, I think I want the King James Version. Screw it. Matthew chapter 12, verse 26. And it reads, "And if Satan is casting out Satan, he is divided and fighting against himself. His own kingdom will not survive." Okay? So this is literally talking about Esau, Edom, because the Edomites are collectively known as Satan, right? And we know this isn't spiritual Satan, right? Because it says his own kingdom will not survive, all right? Well, Satan isn't up here making the calls in the White House, all right? He's not calling for a government shutdown because they can't come to some resolution. Did you see him in the Senate voting for a resolution to avert this shutdown? No. These are men, okay? Men and women. And the vast majority of them are Edomites, okay? And they can't agree on anything. So essentially, Satan is casting out Satan, all right? And he is divided and fighting against himself. That's exactly what's happening. This is perfectly illustrated, okay, here in Babylon the Great. His own kingdom will not survive. And we are seeing the beginning stages of the collapse of Babylon the Great. Okay? It's going to fall. It's not a question of if. All right? It's a matter of when. All right? All right. That's pretty much it. I think I made the point. All right? And the point is, don't trust in oppression, okay? Walk away from this wicked kingdom spiritually. Spiritually. I'm not talking about literally. Spiritually detach yourself from the ideals of Babylon the Great, because it's going to lead to your downfall if you continue trusting in these people. The ship is already sinking, all right? And it's taking on water, all right? So now it'd be a good idea to bail out. Get on a life raft, okay? And the life raft is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, okay? The only way to make it through this, Jacob's trouble, is to have the covering of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, okay? So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Till next time, Shalom.